it's the sense of community and the sense of belonging that produce this fun atmosphere at CA.
I spoke with Jack Maleski, who graduated from Calgary Academy in 2019. After being diagnosed with a learning disability at a young age, Jack made the switch from public school to Calgary Academy, where individualized learning and different teaching methods helped him become a successful student. Jack is now studying biology and has been considering careers in medicine, law, or acting. Do you think Calgary Academy influenced your choice of university and area of study?
It definitely influenced the university I chose, not necessarily the program that I chose.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said before, I chose St. Mary's because it reminded me a lot of CA. And what I mean by that is that at CA, I had a lot of teachers and staff that really got to know who I was, and the feeling was mutual. So I chose St. Mary's because one, it had a small class size, or small class sizes, sorry, and and it, as I keep saying over and over and over again, it reminded me of a place that I felt really comfortable in and I found great success in. So I chose St. Mary's for that reason. And in regards to, um, in regards to my program or degree of choice, that was more of a personal thing. The school didn't say you were going to take a biology degree at St. Mary's. They didn't say that. Um, they had facilities and staff to definitely help facilitate the process the student goes through deciding that. But that was a personal choice which I thought I would take on my own.
Mm-hmm. And were you taking courses at Calgary Academy that science related that
Mhm.
sparked that passion?
Yeah, so in grade 9, there's a teacher at CA named Bob Tolsma, and Mr. Tolsma is there to, or he was, I think, there to help guide the student from grade 10 to 12 in deciding what courses are you going to take in high school to build on your success to get into university or college or whatever you're going to do. So in grade 10, I started talking with him, and he said, "So what are your interests?" Blah 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 blah. And I said, "I'm interested in going into the medical field." And he said, "Well, that kind of that changes things in regards to your high school schedule. So what that meant is I had to take all three sciences. So I had to take biology, chemistry, and physics. So I took grade 11 biology and grade 10. I didn't do the three science journey on my own. I did it with a good friend of mine that I've known uh, since since I was since I was little, and we learned a lot in that experience, and I'm pretty sure what we learned in that experience has been carried over into university.
I'm curious about the acting. Was that also did that also start in Calgary Academy?
Yes, yes, it did. So CA, in my opinion, has a really great and tight knit drama program, and it starts in grade 6, or it did start in grade 6, where the little guys can do a junior production, and all they do is musicals. So it gets them started early, and it's just a really fun um, community to be in. Throughout junior high and high school, I said to my teachers and I said to my parents, "Hey, I really enjoy this, and hopefully I'm okay at it." And my teacher um, recommended to me, "Hey, why don't you do some other productions besides the one that we do at CA?" And I took that to heart, and I talked to my parents, and I started doing some more productions in the public, and that did really well. And now, as I said before, I'm signing with an acting agency. So, but going back to your original question, CA in regards to my kind of acting passion was a good foundation to start,
Cool.
right? And I'm slowly starting to build on that foundation that was built in my acting days at CA, and it's something that I love, and it's something that I really enjoy doing, and hopefully I'm relatively good at, because if I wasn't, why am I here? Um, but uh, but yeah, it's the drama program at CA. It's not massive, it's not big, it's small, but it's tight knit and very talented, which I think not a lot of schools have.
Yeah, for sure. And what would you say is your proudest moment or proudest memory at CA?
Proudest memory. Um, every year and every grade has an award ceremony. So that award ceremony, the teachers talk and some students talk about kind of the year in reflection, and kind of what they learned, and what's going to happen moving forward. So in grade 8, I got a scholarship from a board director at CA, and I'm pretty sure the criteria for that scholarship was academic achievement, and I'm pretty sure some extracurricular stuff. I I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the criteria for the scholarship. So that that scholarship really cemented my thinking in thinking that I am a successful student, and I can do this, right? Because um, I know a lot of students, whether they be in elementary, junior high, or high school, really struggle with that idea of, am I a successful student, and am I good enough to move forward? So that scholarship in grade 8 kind of really, this is my favorite phrase, built a foundation um, to not only build on my academic self, but also my personal self. So that was my proudest moment at CA, because it kind of made me feel that I am a successful person, not only in the academic sense.
And if you had to sort of draft up a resume of all of your experiences, all of your accomplishments, extracurriculars, things like that, that reflects your time at CA, what would that look like? That resume?
A resume. Um, it would be pretty long. I think one big thing that I would put on there is the things that I have accomplished, and yeah, the things that I have accomplished at CA that would be classified as transferable skills. So this is pretty elementary, but I can sustain a conversation. I can, and the list goes on. But it sounds very simple because it's something we do every day, but it's a skill you learn, right? It doesn't come to you. Like in a job interview, um, the person asks you a question, a very deep question that maybe the answer doesn't come to mind, and that question is, okay, so how do you resolve a conflict at the workplace? And I'm like, okay, so when was when was the last conflict? But not really. When in what period of my life that I had a conflict in which I had to resolve by myself? Okay, so that was probably during school. So and what did that look like? So CA has taught me many things that that are considered transferable in many aspects of life. Um, but in regards to the resume, it would be kind of launching my acting career, um, also my academic career in university, and also kind of my personal self, and kind of how I hold myself and how I view the world, and all the situations that I'm in.
Thinking back, if you can, I mean, you said you entered the school in grade 2, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So thinking back to before you were enrolled at CA, um, what was that process like choosing the school, if you remember, or if you've spoken to your family about it?
Yeah.
What was that process like? Why did you pick CA to begin with?
Hmm.
What stood out?
Hmm. So the main reason why my family chose CA, because I was in grade one, because I did not have the capacity to choose a new school for myself, let alone a private school.
Fair.
Um, so when I was in grade one, I was diagnosed with a learning disability, and that really impacted my learning in some major ways. And those big barriers that were put in front of me in an academic sense also transferred into my social kind of aspect of life. And my parents immediately took notice to that and said, we need to fix this, and we need to remedy this in the best way possible. So they chose CA because my cousin was already enrolled in CA, and
Hmm.
my aunt found great success in what my cousin accomplished at CA, and my aunt and my parents talked, and they said, I think Jack would do really well here. So mom and dad were like, okay, you're going to a new school in grade two, and when I got to CA in grade two, um, I didn't know how to read, and I was 8, 9 years old.
Mm.
So thankfully, I can read now. I'm 19, so that's a big accomplishment. But in grade two, I didn't know how to read. As an 8-year-old or 9-year-old or whatever, that should be expected, right?
Right.
So when I got to grade two, I had a teacher named Carol Smith, which I still remember to this day because she made a print on me which is lasting up till now. And the way she taught really resonated with me. and and it only took maybe a couple months until I was above grade level in the reading sense. When I got to CA, my parents were like, okay, we he's at and or above grade level, why not move him out? But thankfully they didn't, because look where I am at now.
Right.
And if I went back to the public school system, I wouldn't be here.
Hmm. So what was that main
So
difference that helped you with like read and adapt to excel in
sorry,
school?
what do you mean main difference?
Like from public school to CA.
Oh, it's the individualized learning that CA has and has crafted over many years. That was the biggest difference. Me, but also another student and another family would notice. It's individualized learning that is the most impactful thing a student can have on themselves, but also what a family can see on that student. So the public school system or the Catholic school system, because I haven't been in it for 10, 11 years, I don't know what that looks like, but from what I hear, they don't do that to the same extent as CA,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a student says, hey, I'm really struggling at this topic in math. Can you help me? Or blah, 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 blah. Of course, the teacher at this public school or Catholic system would obviously help. They wouldn't say no. They
Hmm.
they wouldn't do that. But CA goes a bit goes a step higher and actually notices how that student learns, and why does the student not understand that. So they
Right.
have a math center, and they have a reading center, and I'm pretty sure a writing center. And that math, reading, and writing centers at CA really dive deep into that student's learning.
Hmm.
And that is under the umbrella of individualized learning, which is a huge thing that CA can offer to a student, which is invaluable in an educational sense.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to your transition to university, you mentioned, you picked your university because of the small class sizes. Um, is there still an element of individualized learning in university, or are there skills that, like you said, are transferable from that more individualized
Mhm.
experience?
Yes, but not as not to the same extent as it was in CA. So St. Mary's is a I think a privately funded university. I could be wrong, but St. Mary's has the luxury of having that element of individualized learning because it's small. Unlike MRU, USC, U of A, with lecture halls of 300, 400 kids, which each student is a number and not a name, St. Mary's does the opposite. And and each professor and each staff gets to know each student, right? Obviously, they don't have the capability to sit down and actually analyze the way you think and really help you in that sense.
Hmm.
But St. Mary's has that element of individualized learning, which students like myself, or even students from the public system or the Catholic system, can utilize to increase their success as a student. Transition aspect from high school to university. CA is a school which does a lot of hand holding for the student, and that could be a really good thing, but also maybe a bit of a hindrance to the student. If a student is really struggling at some subject, CA is a perfect school for that because CA can literally handhold you through a problem. But
Hmm.
also, if a student is more independent and more academically inclined, CA has two streams that can accommodate that. And that student can go into this particular stream and succeed at a more independent level. And this more independent stream of CA better prepares the student for the independent university life,
Right.
compared to the academic stream, or
Hmm.
that's what it's called, the academic stream of CA.
Cool. And what did you, maybe a more general question, what did you appreciate most about your time there?
I appreciated how each teacher that I had and how each staff that I met at CA got to know me as a person.
Hmm.
Because I've been there for so long, literally every single teacher and every single staff member knew me and I knew them. And they whether they saw me in a play or whether they saw me play in volleyball or soccer,
Hmm.
they could say, "Hey, how was volleyball practice?" Or, "Hey, like you did really well in the play last night." So I really appreciate CA in that aspect of how personable they can get with the student,
Right.
and whether there's a kid like me who talks all day and doesn't shut up. um maybe they really enjoy that aspect of CA because they get
Hmm.
to talk and they get to share and they get to kind of divulge their feelings to the teacher if they want, or if there's a student there who's a bit more guarded or who's a bit more shy, then the teacher will obviously be extremely warm and extremely caring in that sense, which really tailors to that student's need.
And so on the topic of your peers at CA,
Mhm.
I'm curious, do you think there is a typical student there, or is it more diverse? Um, yeah.
Um, that's an interesting question. Um, Diverse in what way?
Um, Maybe, I mean, diverse in terms of, I mean, either background or, learning learning preferences, academic
Okay.
preferences, passions.
Okay.
Do they go off
Uh,
into different streams?
yeah. Okay. There is definitely there is definitely a lot of unique people at CA because it tailors to a very it CA tailors to a very specific demographic of an educational environment.
Mm.
And CA is tailored to students with learning disabilities, and that comes with a lot of different things. But these this diverse group of students at CA are fantastic. They're great. They're each individual, each individual person is a genius in one aspect of their life,
Mm.
whether it's um, whether it's athleticism, whether it's academically, whether it's theatrically, or whether it's socially. CA has a breadth of students to fill every single category of diversity you can think of. Also, CA has one particular background which students come from, and that's also a way students can relate to that other student and better get to know them and hopefully make some great friends to last a lifetime, which I have.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you mentioned that, your peers are unique in their own way. I'm curious if there's anything that's absolutely unique about the school. What sets it apart from other private schools, either in the area or across Canada, or
Mhm.
any school that you know?
From what I know, because I've been involved in multiple committees at CA, CA has a research branch called Headwater Learning, and that is at the forefront of educational research. And I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure CA has partnered with I think maybe some faculty from U of C to actually do a study into kind of how can we better educate students and kind of the maybe the psychology behind that. I'm not sure what they do, but I know that CA has that separate branch called Headwater Learning, which is at the forefront of educational research, which definitely sets CA apart from other private schools
Mm-hmm.
in regards to that aspect. Because maybe Weber or Rundle or Wick, I'm pretty sure they don't have a research branch. Maybe they do, but it's definitely, if they do, it's definitely not on par with Headwater Learning in regards to how public it is and how ambitious they are in this in this educational research aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But also another aspect of CA that is very unique is their philosophy in everything they do, and that's called REACH. So REACH stands for respect, enthusiasm, altruism, commitment, and honesty. And that is the guiding principle for every student, staff, and teacher and parents involved at CA.
Mm-hmm.
And that guides their decision making intensely, because that's the one thing they keep in mind in every choice, in every decision, in every lesson they do. And that is very evident in kind of the learning model at CA, and it's really really special, and I'm pretty sure it sets CA apart in that aspect to a large extent.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I have a bit of a creative question for you now.
Okay.
If CA were to become personified, if you can picture CA as a person, um, what are 3 adjectives you would use to describe its personality?
One word that came to mind was unique.
Mm-hmm.
um so unique, fun, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and oh god, I don't know what's another one. So unique, fun, and probably ambitious.
Okay.
And that last word is chosen very carefully, because what CA is doing in in a lot of very interesting ways is incredibly ambitious. Because what they did, I think it's 2 years now, they launched a new capital campaign, And one way a business can do that is to get a consultant and say, we want to do a capital campaign. Can you look at our platform and all that, and can you come up with a whatever and send it to the board for approval, and let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
But CA threw that out the window and actually invented a whole new process of actually doing that capital campaign, and it fits the word of ambitious very well. So what CA did in regards to their huge capital campaign is involve every single stakeholder in the process. So over one school year, we held, I'm pretty sure, 4 meetings of over 200 people, and these 200 people were students, staff, parents, alumni, board directors, and God only knows who else. And we spent 4 hours or 3 hours every day asking very simple questions, which actually turned out to fill up 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And these questions were, what is CA? What does CA do? What does CA mean to you? And what is the future of CA? And all those very deep questions
Right.
that is open to multiple interpretations. But that capital campaign and the many other things that CA is planning to do in the future and currently fits the word ambitious very well. So
Yeah.
unique, fun, and ambitious. Those were the three words, or those are the three words that I would describe this personified CA.
Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on fun a bit? I think there's a lot of
Fun.
people who don't have the most fun in high school. I'm curious
Oh
what your
God.
take on
Oh yeah.
it.
Fun. It's the sense of community. It's the sense of community that is the source of the funness. I know that's not a word, but it's the sense of community and the sense of belonging that produce this fun atmosphere at CA. So and a large part of this community is how personable every single teacher and staff that are there. Because if a teacher if a teacher wasn't personal and actually didn't care about you, who would want to go to school? Not me. But the fun aspect of CA can be found in the classroom, can be found in the hallway, can be found in the lunchroom, can be found on the playground, in the gym, in the drama room, on the pump track, which is a like a homemade what's it called? A homemade dirt bike track
Yeah.
built in the forest. Um, um, Personally, I really enjoyed my time at CA and especially high school. And I know some others or some students didn't. And a vast majority don't, because maybe they struggled, or maybe they didn't have many friends, or maybe they were having a family struggle. But what I can guarantee to a student and a family is that CA is there for you, right? I know that's a big statement, and I know that means a lot to whoever's listening from CA, but that's what I can assure them,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what they did for me and my family.
Right. Yeah. And so speaking about those people, those families and students who are considering CA, maybe families who are right now doing their research, they're looking at their website, they're, talking to their friends and family, they've been to the open house. What is one thing that you think would surprise a family or a student once they finally do enroll in the school?
How much CA cares about the student.
Mm.
That personally I found very impactful. So let's say a student is in grade 6 and they're looking at CA to transition the student into grade 7 at CA. And this student in grade 6 has struggled continuously since they were little, and they don't know who they are as a learner, or they don't know who they are even as a person, or maybe they're questioning themselves or whatever. CA has the ability to sit that student down and listen to what they want to say.
Hmm.
CA has the facilities like a psychologist who if a student is really struggling, the student can have that personal conversation with the psychologist and say, hey, I'm really struggling, can you help? And maybe talk a bit more about that. So CA can help on that aspect,
Mm-hmm.
but also CA can struggle, oh sorry, not CA can struggle, CA can help um, in the educational sense, because that's what they specialize in, is with students with learning disabilities. So in every facet of the student, whether they're struggling, whether they're succeeding, whether in the middle of the road, CA is there for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure that that will be a big surprise to the student and to the family, if they compare it to maybe another private school, or definitely to the public school system and the Catholic school system. That's a tongue twister. So I think that's the one thing
Mm-hmm.
that I would say to that student or family.
Right. And who would you recommend CA to?
Anyone, anyone, absolutely anyone. As I said before, CA tailors to students who have learning disabilities, but it can be from some really strong learning disabilities that put up a lot of big barriers to that student, or it could be a learning disability that is just maybe a bit minor, maybe a bit minor,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe small in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Um, but I wouldn't say CA is, oh, it's for that kid over there because you look like you need CA. No, I wouldn't say that. I would I would say I would genuinely say to everyone, if you are looking at moving to a new school, look at CA seriously, and go to an open house. Talk to a student, talk to a teacher, maybe sit in on a class for a bit if you can. But I wouldn't, if I had the power to choose any student, I wouldn't turn away anyone. I would say to everyone, you seem like a good fit. You seem like a good fit. You seem like a good fit, because that's what CA does.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to a student who is enrolling and is showing up on that first day?
Have fun. That's what I would say. Is just to have fun. Get to know your teachers, because moving to a new school is scary. Because I have some friends that have moved schools 5, 6 times, and thankfully I only moved schools once. But I can imagine that moving to a new school is scary,
Hmm.
because it's a new place. There's new people. You have to figure out where the bathroom is, and that's even scary in itself. and but but yeah, I would I would honestly say to a new student, whether they're in kindergarten or whether they're in grade 11 going to grade 12, just have fun, take a breath,
Mm-hmm.
and walk in there with an open mind. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, definitely. So I just have two more questions for you before I let you
All
go.
right.
First one is, now, not every school is 100% perfect. I
Mhm.
do want to know, is there anything that you think CA can improve upon?
Mhm.
Or if not, maybe is there anything out of your experience at CA that you would have changed?
What I would change, um, with my experience at CA, would be in high school. And that's in regards to the student. readying themselves for post-secondary.
Mm.
As I said before, CA does a lot of hand-holding, and that has many, many, many pros to the student. And I genuinely, I am an advocate for that. But for the vast majority of those who are pursuing higher education, that can be a hindrance to them, because university, it's only you as the person in the room.
Mm.
Because if you go to U of C, U of A, MRU, you are, like, this is harsh, but you are a number. And if you don't sit in the first three rows, or even the first row, the professor won't get to know you. I would change an experience that I had at CA, um, in the context of post-secondary readiness.
Mm.
So I would maybe ask CA to, if a student wants to pursue university, I would ask CA to maybe hold back a little bit and let that student be themselves for a little bit. That could be a pro and a con. It depends on the person.
Yeah.
But for me personally, because I needed that support at CA, when I went to St. Mary's, it felt like I was thrown out in the deep end,
Mm.
right? And I had to learn how to swim on myself. Thankfully, St. Mary's has a student accommodation section, which I could go to if I needed help.
Yeah.
But in regards to the in-class kind of session and in-class learning, I had to kind of rely on my skills that I did learn at CA, and learn how to make new ones, and actually learn how to study effectively,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a big procrastinator, and that's awful. But yeah, a big thing for me is to let CA know that, that if students want, to go to university, which the vast majority do, get them ready for that.
Yeah.
and and maybe talk to universities and say, how do your students, learn in the classroom or whatever, so they can transfer that knowledge to their students,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm. And final question for you, maybe a bit of a deep one, but how
Mhm.
has how has Calgary Academy shaped you as a person, and what are some lessons that you learned there that you'll take into the future?
As I said earlier, I would say that CA made an impact on me in regards to how I hold myself and how I kind of operate within the world. Um, so I think the reach philosophy really resonates with me, and hopefully with all students from CA who graduate or are currently attending there, because it models the perfect person,
Mm.
right? You need to respect others. You need to be enthusiastic about what you're doing, and you need to be enthusiastic for others, and you need to be altruistic about what you're doing, and you don't need to ask anything in return from that person. And also, you need to be committed to what you're doing, because if you're not, you aren't going to get anywhere in life. And also, you need to be honest. You need to be honest with yourself, and you need to be honest with others, right? Because if you aren't, people won't like you. If you
Yeah.
aren't if you aren't honest, then you just can't. Because people are going to be like, you're lying to me. Like, what are you doing? You can't do that. So I'm pretty sure that kind of philosophy has stuck with me,
Mm-hmm.
and will stick with me for the rest of my life. Obviously, um, before grade two, um, I knew what respect was. I knew what enthusiasm, altruism, blah blah blah. I knew all that. It's not like I was completely unaware what respect was. It's like, what's respect? No. Um, it just excuse me, over my 10 years at CA, reach cemented my belief and my thinking into that philosophy, which I hope everyone in the world adopts.
Hmm.
Um, if you kind of look at it on the grand scheme of things, it's it's a pretty basic kind of belief and values that you follow, but it's a core belief that needs to reside within all of us,
Yeah.
because, as I said again and again and again, it builds a foundation it builds a foundation in which you can build upon yourself and add or remove or maybe adjust your own beliefs and values, about yourself and how you kind of operate within the world, and within the friendships or relationships you're involved in.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I think
Hmm.
that's a perfect way to end it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for taking taking the time out of your day to do this.
Great.
Do you have any questions for me or any final words or anything like that?
What I would say, to prospective families and students is that, really take a look at CA for what it truly is. Because from what I've heard from my family, choosing a different school for your kid is hard. And it's not easy, because this school can impact your child positively, negatively, or not at all. But hopefully, from what I've said, in my jumble of words, hopefully you got a message of CA is there for you, and CA will help you in your child's journey, because it has it has helped my family understand me as a learner,
Mm,
and how I work about a problem. So my final message is, really, really, really take a look at what CA is, because, um, in my 10 years there, it has made a truly, truly, truly profound impact on me as a learner and me as a person.
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure every single kid needs that in their life.